Hi, Sam Leonard Parker here. Thank you again for the detailed notes. They were really helpful as I was looking through your website. I do still have several questions. I'll just drop those here in the messenger. But this video is pretty much split up into two parts. For the first part, I'm going to focus in on SEO. And then for the second part, going to just give you some of my initial thoughts on what you wrote here and give you some suggestions as far as how can you get around some of the challenges that you're experiencing with your marketing. So first things first with your SEO, and I would say this is a big area of concern. I ran a Google search for several of your URLs. So I did it for the frosted lime product. Um, I did it for the Kenna CB2 product. I'm actually putting in the direct URL here. Kind of moving on, focus. I guess the common theme I'm seeing here, Sam, is these pages aren't indexed. You actually put in your specific product name here that you have on the website. So it comes up with the angel hemp flower. However, it doesn't come up with the pre-rolled product. And then finally, the last one here, again, putting in the actual product, frosted lime. However, it only comes out with your collections page and it comes out with another company. So I'm sharing that because it looks like some of your pages aren't being indexed, at least from what I'm seeing. So I'm not sure if these pages are brand new, they just haven't been crawled by Google, or if maybe Google is just doing some testing as I'm looking at this. But this is an area of concern because if these pages, these specific product pages aren't indexed, any on-page SEO, any link building that we do is pretty much all for naught because they're not even showing up in Google as of what I'm looking at. So that would be my first thing I do, this week is actually look at why these pages aren't indexed or why they aren't showing as indexed for me, and kind of just troubleshoot that process to resolution. And if you're not familiar with index, that basically just means that the website, the URL, or the product, in this case, that specific product page is showing up here in the Google search results. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I'm going to move over to your website now. I kind of just ran a check on meta tags and some of the more on-page SEO elements. And what I saw is that a lot of your pages are missing heading one tag. And heading ones, they're still important. I know there may be some news out there in different SEO websites that they're not as important. But from my testing, as recently as earlier this month in May, I do see that they still have an impact on your SEO. And from what I saw, you do have a heading one tag, but it's the same on every page. And it's the age of verification or verify age. It's basically the same text that's in that pop up. And then you're missing a big opportunity to optimize your pages for keywords because, a heading one tag, you can almost think about that as the title of the page. You're doing like a outline for school for a paper, your outline title will be your heading one tag. And it's one of the prominent areas that Google looks at to determine what the page is about. So I would definitely go through and add those heading one tags so that you are getting that SEO benefit. Other than that, I also add more heading two tags. Some pages you do have your heading two tag, others you don't. So just making sure that all of your priority pages, I think I saw there were maybe over 100 that were missing heading two tags. And similar to heading one tags, heading twos are another place another piece of real estate on your page that you can use to optimize for certain keywords. And then for some pages, I would say for your heading tags and even your page titles, or again your title tags, and your title tag is this little box that just popped up here. This is your focus category page, but focus doesn't really tell me anything. I mean, are you doing meditation? Are you doing CBD? Or is this a site that tells me how to focus? Like, it's really not very specific. So, I would incorporate CBD, other than in your brand name here, your company name. I would incorporate focus and CBD, other relevant terms here. I haven't done a specific keyword research on this, but other relevant terms that tells Google that, hey, this page is about how CBD can help with focus. And these are products, CBD products that can help with focus. I think that's really the direction you want to move here to make it more relevant to CBD. Okay. So other than that, the heading 1 tags, the heading 2 tags, and the page titles, I saw that there wasn't any JSON LD schema incorporated on your product pages. So I'll show you how I check this. So we'll do that. And then let me grab one of your product pages. And my apologies, this thing loads really slow when I'm doing a video recording. Here we go. It's running. Okay. So for this, the schema is there, but what's most important for what you're looking at, you really want to get that rating, that review schema in there. So there's a lot of different fields here that are missing. So I recommend we go ahead and actually fill out these fields with something. The more they're completed, the better, more impact they will have on your search results. Now, to be clear, schema, JSON LD schema, if you're not familiar, it's just a special snippet of code that you add to the page to give Google's algorithm, their crawlers, more contextual information about what that page is about. So for this case, I did this check on a product page. So we know it's a product. You have that schema there, but it's missing some things. And you know that that product has ratings. And so the way this benefits you, Sam, let's say, Amazon is probably the best for this. You'll notice whenever you do a search and you see Amazon results and the search results, you're going to see like a little star ratings next to the products. So maybe that was a bad one. But let's do Amazon TVs. That should be pretty straightforward. Okay, so I'm not sure why the stars aren't showing up here. They usually do. But anytime you typically do a Amazon search, or search for a hotel or search for a restaurant, you'll see those searches up in the search results. So maybe if I did like another type of search, maybe it's something about Amazon today that's not working well. Huh. But here we go. So you see here from TripAdvisor, this Hotel Charlotte. Even though this isn't the #1 search result, it kind of stands out because it's the only page or result that has this star next to it. So it kind of stands out. And so what you'll see over time is that, as you get more traffic, your websites, your page's click-through rate, that is going to have an impact on your SEO. And basically the way this works, each rank has a kind of an average CTR. If your search result is above that CTR, great, you position your page to move up in the rankings. But if it's below that CTR, then over time your ranking may be pushed down. So that's why schema is important, for your SEO, because click-through rate does impact your SEO over the long term. Okay, so that's enough with the website. Now moving on to your local SEO. Now, since you have a brick and mortar and you're focused on a local area, a local SEO campaign is going to require some different components that you won't really have to focus on if it was a national SEO campaign. So in this case, we see that, and my apologies, it's just really slow when I'm recording. So that's your Google My Business profile. So honestly, you want to get to the point where your Google My Business is showing up for, the majority of the keywords in the local pack. So the little map pack at the top, you'll see sometimes, because that's where 60 to 70% of your clicks are going to go. Now, and one thing about your Google My Business, when you're reviewing or responding to your reviews, use those as opportunities to incorporate your target keywords. So this last guy from a few days ago, Ryan, he's basically saying you guys have an amazing CBD shop. He's kind of providing some details. A example response would be, thank you, Ryan, for the great response. We pride ourselves on being the best CBD shop in Charlotte, or whatever keyword or phrase you can fit in there that's related to their review, or what product they purchased. That's a great way to leverage these Google My Business reviews, but also incorporate your keywords. Now, moving away from Google My Business, there's another aspect of local SEO called your local citations. And basically, these are websites, business-focused websites across the web that serve as kind of references that you're a legitimate business. And they're not as important as they were years before, but they can still be a big part of your foundational SEO, and you kind of building that credibility platform with Google so that it's easier for you to rank in the future. If I can think of an offline example, let's say if you're applying to a college and you need, this is a very competitive college, you need 40 recommendations, and you only have, I don't know, 5 of those 40 needed recommendations, whereas the other students you're going against, they have all 40. Well, that's going to kind of put your profile in a negative light compared to them. So that's kind of how citations work for Google, where, I'm not sure the exact number, but these are the important ones. I believe it's about 40. Any legitimate business would have citations on all of these websites. So when I did a search, you're missing citations on a lot of these sites. I would say the vast majority. And even some of these sites, another part of this is that your information is consistent. So this is the information I pulled from your Google My Business. It looks like, your Facebook, for whatever reason, is showing that you're missing your phone number. And then for one other one, the where to listing, you have a different phone number. So maybe that's your cell phone number or something. I'm not sure, but it's very important that number one, you build out listings for all of these websites, and number two, you include your phone number, your correct information, your address, your phone number, business name on all those websites. That's where we want to do here. So that's pretty much it for your local SEO as far as high level areas of opportunities I'm seeing. Now, moving back to your website, one thing I thought was very cool is that not only do you have the shop by product section, but you also have the shop by benefits section. And you pretty much, your benefits, helps you with focus, helps you with pain relief, relaxation, anxiety relief, and so on. And what I was thinking, kind of when you're, in your message, you were saying you're having some challenges, kind of ingratiating yourself with the local community. I would recommend taking a content focus where you pretty much build out what are called pillar pages for each of these different benefits. So focus will have its own pillar page, pain relief will have its own pillar page, and so forth. Because you have to think, you obviously are going to have your passionate customers who, they are very familiar with CBD, and they, want to use your products. They like your product. However, you're going to have a big part of the market where, yeah, they know that maybe CBD is legal in North Carolina, but they really don't know, what is it good for, how it could benefit them. And on these pillar pages, that's really where you leverage your expertise and your experience and kind of drilling down on, how CBD helps with focus. And then the next step on that is, okay, we know that CBD helps with focus. What are some different demographic groups or target audiences that would benefit from an improved focus? So two that I thought of immediately were college students. They're very stressed with, being able to focus on, little sleep or, poor nutrition. Another another field that I thought about were people in demanding careers. So right now during a COVID situation, health professionals, they're probably really going through it. So how could CBD help health professionals or students? We're looking at pain relief. How can CBD could be um, a great tool for people, former athletes or maybe people who have been, went through severe injuries on the job. You can really just start building a list out of these different target groups. And with that, once you start building some content around these different benefits, that's when you can go to, relevant local Facebook groups. So I'm sure there's some Facebook group for that area. There are a lot of universities where that's focused on college students. And, you don't want to just go in there and just start posting stuff. You kind of just want to season your group membership a bit, engage with other people, comment on their posts. It's kind of a slow strategy, but over time, you're going to kind of build that community. And then you'll be at a place where you can drop a content and a link and it's not seen as spam. And I say Facebook groups because usually, there's pretty much a Facebook group about anything. You can drop your Facebook group links in there, your content links in there, and that can be a great way for you to develop your brand, but also to get referral traffic back to your website. So that's the first thing. The second thing, kind of going back to our target audiences and our, different demographic groups, what are some other websites or influencers within each of those audiences that you can reach out to for either a guest post? So maybe they just, allow you to write up, something about how CBD helps with pain relief, or even they might just share your content with their social media following or even on their website. And there are a few ways you can kind of incentivize them to do this. Maybe if it's makes business sense, you can offer a 10% exclusive promo code if they agree to post your content or allow you to do a guest feature on their website. And there's a lot of research that goes into that to determine which websites are the best to go after, but those can be ways to build your kind of your tribe without having to go through kind of some of the restrictions that you have with paid advertising. And so those are a few things. I'm sure, I looked at this for maybe 20 minutes. Those are some of the initial thoughts that I had about how you can use content to really build your brand. Other than that, kind of moving over into the more general marketing piece, so from the details that you sent me, Sam, some of the things that stood out, you and your co-founder, you have some unique expertise, unique experience that you're bringing to the market. Authenticity. So you compare kind of your advertising with, missed the name here, but I think that could be a great way, kind of an advertising campaign. Maybe you incentivize one of your happy customers to do a video, which, they're just, a typical resident in Charlotte, but they like your CBD products. That's a lot more authentic than, like you said, some of your competitors, they're using celebrity endorsements. They do have their place, but I think the authenticity when that comes to in marketing can be a great angle to take. From other from what else I read, you have improved product quality, so superior product quality because of your process of growing a product indoors. Now, you mentioned again about some of the stigmas that are against hemp, CBD, and cannabis. And for that, what I thought, kind of going back to these different target groups that we're going to have with your content, what you can do is, brainstorm these different groups, understand their pain points, how cannabis can benefit them, but also kind of brainstorm what are some of the stigmas that they may have against hemp or cannabis. Someone who is 19 years old, they're a college student or just straight out of high school, they've grown up in a time where CBD use and cannabis use is a lot more widely accepted. It's a lot more mainstream compared to maybe a baby boomer who there was Woodstock, but it still wasn't as mainstream as it is now, as far as being legally accepted. So thinking about what are some of the different stigmas that those different target groups may have and making sure that you are addressing those stigmas in your content, in your messaging, I think could really help break down some of those stigmas that you're faced with. And so, like I said, that actually brings me to the end of the video, Sam. I hope some of these initial thoughts have been helpful for you. And I do have some questions about some of the things you mentioned, so I'll just drop those again in a messenger here. But thank you for watching the video. I know it was long, and I look forward to your response. Take care.